Hey y'all, it's me, Kim. I'm back with another video. How are you doing? I'm good, thank you for asking. So in a previous video, I talked about patriarchy. Well, in many previous videos, I've talked about patriarchy. But recently, I said that patriarchy is not going anywhere anytime soon because so many men in particular buy into it. And they buy into it because it gives them something. It gives them comfort. It makes them feel powerful. And they're emboldened with these delusions. Now, one of those delusions that is particularly pernicious and pervasive at this point in time is this idea that you can fail to meet up to many of the mandates of traditional masculinity, but still be entitled to the spoils. What do I mean by that? Let's look at Exhibit A. Can a woman be a breadwinner in the family and still remain loyal, respectful, and submissive to her husband? Why even ask that question? If we are so preoccupied with these traditional gender roles, wouldn't a more appropriate question be to ask, what is a man going to do to compensate for the fact that he is not the breadwinner? Now, of course, we're talking about heterosexual partnership here, but if you're not the breadwinner and I'm paying the bills, what are you bringing to the table? Like, let's focus on that. We don't focus on that because inherent in that question is the assumption that women are made to be submissive and men are made to lead. I gotta say, I don't know why that would be the assumption if you cannot fulfill the foundational tenet of traditional masculinity, which is provide. I am not asking these questions to shame men who don't make a lot of money. It's hard out here. Do you watch the news? A lot of people are struggling or just barely making it. But my point is, if your reality is one thing and it fails to meet this ideal, then your ideology needs to evolve to catch up. You're fighting it. Why? Just speaking personally, I'm not really mad at a man who cannot provide in the most traditional sense. We can go Dutch. I do not have a problem with that. However, that means that you are not the leader of my home. We can be co-captains. We can guide this ship together, but there's no you in the front and me in the back. Not when I'm paying half the bills. It seems to me that that should be pretty basic logic, like, duh. If both people in a partnership are going to work, then this is a joint venture. Why are we talking about traditional gender roles? Why are we talking about submission? They're not for you. And this is why people are so miserable, because you're trying to shoehorn your life into something that is completely not made for you. That mold is for somebody else. You know, round peg, square hole. And the men who pose these questions are being absolutely ridiculous. Unrealistic. Are you kidding? But I get it because society has not done a good enough job of telling men, look, different is possible. You don't have to develop your identity in paying for everything and being dominant and doing violence and being in control. There are other ways to live. And when I see black men in particular, saying that kind of stuff, I do raise an eyebrow because I know the statistics. I know the statistics. I don't know your individual situation, but I can make some guesses. I look at the Bureau of Labor Statistics reports, and in the last quarter of 2018, the median wage for black men weekly was like $773, and the median wage for black women was $665. You don't have it like that. Instagram is a lie. Like, let's not, okay? Like, let's just not. By trying to hold on to these traditional gender roles, men think that they're holding on to power, but in reality, they're holding on to enormous stresses. It is stressful to want to take on this responsibility of being the man and being the leader and being the breadwinner if you literally cannot do it. And then y'all try to switch it up. Well, I'm the emotional leader. I'm the psychological leader. No, sir. No, sir. Who is paying the bills? Because that is the foundation of traditional patriarchy. If you want to go biblical, it's in the Bible. If you just want to go cultural, look around. So many of our societal structures are made in a way that assumes that one person works and one person stays home. That's why so many of us are messed up out here, because our institutions have not evolved to match our lives. Honestly, this isn't even about like lower class or whatever, because even men who are middle class or upper middle class still overwhelmingly expect their partners to work. There is data on this. So you're telling me that I have to get credentialed, get a job, go to work every day, pay the light bill, and come home and do the extra emotional work of being submissive and subservient and respectful to you? Now be real. We gotta be real, you guys, come on. Reject that, because it don't make no sense. And I think a lot of women are rejecting that because it's just an extra job. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't have 3 jobs and you have 1. I personally believe in partnership in the truest sense of the word, meaning we walk together. Nobody is taken advantage of. Nobody is unduly burdened. We work in synchronicity. I learned the word mutuality from bell hooks, and that means we complement each other. We work in tandem. You help me meet my needs, and I help you meet your needs. There is no assumption that because you were born in a male body that you are fit to lead. That is often not the case, as we see. Often women are better leaders than men. So what do you do with that? You know, and men always try to be like, well, we submit to each other. Well, then why don't you lead with that? Why don't you lead with that? You know, I know this is a scam because when we are posing questions about submission and the ability to submit and be respectful and honor the head of the household, it is women who are assumed to take up the subservient position. Now, if it's not bad, if it's not degrading, then why don't men gladly step into that role? They don't do it because they equate submission with femininity and femininity with weakness. And that's really not unusual at all. Recently, I thought about how I've had to unlearn shunning femininity and looking down on femininity because I have been conditioned, as we all have, to view being feminine as being weak and being masculine as being aspirational. But femininity does not have to be weak. It does not have to be subservient. And masculinity does not have to be aspirational. It also does not have to be toxic. You know, and look, if your heart's desire is to be a submissive wife who goes to work every day and decides to take on those 3 jobs, that's fine. I honestly don't have a problem with it. I used to, but I decided, you know what? It's not my place to judge. If you want to be traditional in the sheets and progressive in the streets, that is fine. If you want to be a pick me, that's fine. Go ahead and find your pick you and y'all be happy together. It really doesn't have anything to do with me. The problem, of course, is that for so long, that has been our cultural expectation, despite the fact that that does not meet the reality of our lives. It has not. Not for me. Not as a Black woman. If you want to do traditional heterosexual marriage cosplay, because it's not traditional if y'all both working, but if you want to do that, go ahead and do it. Just leave the rest of us alone. You know what I'm saying? Like, just leave us out of it. Thank you. Well, that's all I have to say about that. Thank you so much for watching. The bonus video up on Patreon right now is me talking about womanism versus feminism, and I got into the craziness happening in Virginia. And then finally, I talked about Nicki Minaj and how I just have a little bit of sympathy for her. Just a little tiny bit of sympathy. Obviously, that's patrons only. Go over to Patreon and sign up for that, and you can view all of the bonus content. Send me an email, send me a message, leave a comment, buy some merch, sign up for the email newsletter. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you next time.